feels so abstract. Yeah, it's complicated what you say, the way you act. Well, it makes me so confused. I don't know what to do anymore. Can't you just make up your mind? My heart drops when you play around. How can you be up when I'm down? Don't wanna think about it right now. Maybe you just wanna be friends, but there is a fight when we are talking. Maybe you just wanna pretend, but I can read between the lines. Even if I can't deny that all the things you said are hurting, still wanna be with you. I think you want it too. 'Cause baby, I don't wanna be.
Hi guys, and welcome. I'm so happy that you guys have joined me today. This is my first live, so please excuse me if I mess up a little bit here and there. You might have seen me on the crafting circuit here and there. I've been crafting for about 10 years now, and I have a lot of inspiration on my blog, YouTube, and Instagram. I post everywhere, practically Facebook, Pinterest. And I really just want to share my crafty journey with you. So, for the Card Maker Summit, this is the card that I created. I don't know if you guys have had time to check out the class yet. However, this is beginner watercoloring, and I did use the Better Press for this. So this is the Spellbinders Better Press. However, I did want to mention, I know not a lot of people have it, but if you don't have it, you can still try the watercoloring technique, but all you really need to do is just stamp out an image. And you just have to pay attention to the type of ink that you're using. Now, if you want to go over that, that's all in my video. And I also have a freebie available, which goes over the types of ink that are best for watercoloring as well. So hopefully you'll check that out if you're kind of stuck on, oh, should I use this ink or that ink? Basically you want to use something that's not water-based to go with watercoloring, right? So it doesn't smudge or make any issues and cause your beautiful image not to look so great. So as I mentioned on YouTube, my handle is Designs by D. It spells a little differently because it's a play on my name, Deezines by D. And basically, everything that I've got on there, I've got tons of videos with tons of inspiration. And in the coming months, I am planning to have a lot more giveaways and things like that because I wanted to make the channel a little bit more interactive. And I'm always looking at all the comments. I love seeing people's comments. Any type of help that I can provide and support and vice versa is it's always my the forefront of my mind because that's part of why I got into crafting. I love the crafting community. And I'm one of those people where crafting pretty much saved me. I have three young daughters, and as they were born, I wanted to like keep memories of them. So I started with scrapbooking actually. And then after I kind of, you know, did some scrapbooking, and then when I'd be feeding my babies, I'd be watching, you got it, Jennifer McGuire. So that's where I started picking up the card making. And then from there, I just kind of went forward with transferring all my scrapbooking stuff into card making stuff. And I loved it. It was like therapy for me. You know, most women go through postpartum depression and things like that. This is what brought me out of it. So it quite literally saved my life. And this is why I love it. I love the crafting community. Everybody is so supportive and so positive, and it's quite literally my happy place. So I'm so happy you guys have joined me. And if you haven't seen me before, I'd love to get to know you all so much more. Um, so as I mentioned, for the watercolors, um, I haven't really done anything crazy here. A lot of it is stippling and then just kind of moving the colors around. And the biggest thing to know about watercoloring is that you need to just build the color up. So you start with a wash of a lighter color, you bring on the next layer. Maybe you want to go darker, and that's all this video shows you, just how to build that color up. And we only really used three colors, right? It's so simple, and I hope that you guys are really going to be able to create this exact card. So in terms of supplies, I have three supplies that I love the most. One of them is my VersaFine Clear ink. Now, this one is perfect because when you stamp this down, it stamps perfectly. It's not like the VersaFine. The VersaFine is good too, but this one is I always find I don't have to double stamp it. Just it always prints crisply. Now, the other tool that I love the most is this one here. So this one, if you do a lot of die cutting, I know my video, my class doesn't do die cutting, but if you do and you have intricate dies, this is perfect for getting all the little bits out of those intricate dies, and it's just amazing. Um, the other one that I really love is this one here. Now, I showed this in my video, and if you do have the better press, I find that the plates, especially the larger plates like this one, they get stuck. So to get them off, this thing is so magnetic, it holds the whole thing. I love this tool, and I have the older one. You probably have seen a different one if you've got the newer ones, but those are my three favorite tools. Um, so I'm Tammy Barrett said, "You make watercoloring effortless. Now I am willing to try it." I'm so happy that you're willing to give it a try. Just so you know, and I think I said it in my video, I'm a beginner too. Watercoloring's so beautiful. I watch other artists do it, and I was like, I'm always fascinated by how they build that color up. I still haven't gotten there either. I'm pretty much a beginner as well. So if I can make something like this, you can too. And that's all I'm really here to do is basically show you that you can do anything. Don't ever feel like that's too advanced or too much. You won't ever pick it up. The best part, I think I make the best cards when I kind of go out of my comfort zone. And you find new techniques. And sometimes when you're making cards, you find that one technique over and over gets boring. I actually, if you do have a look at my channel, you'll notice that I do a lot of die cutting. And I have bits and like lulls where I get sick of the die cutting and then I just go to stamping or go to some other technique, which is why I loved the better press because I find that it's really simple. Uh, the letterpress technique, it's simple, there's no learning curve, and you can make fast cards. And sometimes I get really impatient. I'm an impatient crafter. I like to get to the end and just basically see what it looks like, right? So that's my main point here. Always try new things. It's you never know what you're really gonna be great at. Now, Lisa says the hack for using the better press plate without the system is brilliant. Thank you for that. Oh, I'm so happy you like that. I figured, if you do not have the better press, I realize it's a newer product on the market, and maybe you just want to get like the plates, get like a simple plate, which is what I used here. It's just one plate and one sentiment, and use the technique, the alternative method that I gave you. Give it a try. See if you like it. See if it's something that you want to do. It's a great way for just testing something out. And then if you like it, then you can invest in the actual better press. It's really up to you. And as I said, if you don't have that and you don't want to invest in it, you can always just stamp the image out and do the watercoloring with that. Debbie says, "Hi Deepa, can I use all of the better press dies with my die cutting machine? I don't have the better press." So, okay, I just want to clarify just to make it clear because it gets confusing. So you have your dies, there are glimmer plates, which are different from the better press plates. Now, the better press plates, you can definitely use that with your die cutting machine with the technique I gave you. The only thing I'm going to mention with that is that you want something simple. So I used one full plate and one sentiment, and that's easy to kind of move around and get in position. And there's a little bit of guesswork for where you put your paper down. That's why I say choose something simple. If you have like, for example, there's other products where they have registration marks. So you put down one plate, you imprint it, you put down the next plate and then another plate. That's going to be a little harder to do with this technique. You want something where you're just going to really run it through your die cutting machine once. So For sure, you can use any of your better press plates as long as they're simple ones. Hannah says, what colors do you tend to gravitate towards? So I'm a moody person. Let's just say that. So, um, some days I love vibrant colors. I'll say for most of the time, I'll go towards vibrant colors, very bright purples, greens, things like that. Teal, I love teal with purple. And I'll have these phases where I go through muted tones. I love muted tones. I think that usually comes around during Christmas, and I love like the muted greens and stuff like that. Other than that, it's all about mood. I'm your typical girl. My makeup, everything just expresses my mood. So you can make something very vibrant one day, something very simple the other day. It's again, I'm very much about kind of having a hybrid of colors and things that I do so that I'm not getting bored, right? Oh, Deb Watkins, do you have a particular brand of brushes you prefer for watercoloring? So that's one thing I've always been iffy on. Um, I know there are brushes out there that are pretty expensive. They're really good. I don't really have a brand I stick to. I kind of choose based on what they look like. So a larger brush for larger areas. If I'm doing a whole background, I may have like the flat brush. See, I don't even know what they're called. And if I'm doing like more stippling, I'll have a round brush. If I'm doing fine details, I'll get that fine detail brush. And I just go based on what I need to use, right? So I'm more of, I say, like a practical person in that manner. I haven't learned all the brushes, but I do prefer using for this technique just the plain brush. I wouldn't recommend a water brush at first because it's hard to get used to the amount of water you want to add. It's a little easier when you're dipping it into water and then you can kind of, dry off extra water as needed. So I find just the plain old brushes, nothing too fancy. You don't have to pay lots of money for expensive brushes, especially when you're just starting out. Once you get into it more and you know exactly what you're doing and you have your own technique and strategy, then I would probably recommend investing in something better. But I mean, I myself haven't done that either. So, Milika, I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong, is the Better Press die cutting machine. So the Better Press is something different from the die cutting machine. Your die cutting machine, you can use it for cutting, embossing, dry embossing, and things like that. The Better Press machine is something completely different. You use it with your die cutting machine, but it's basically just a platform. So it's just a platform like this. Mine is very loved. It's used a lot, and it's basically these two pieces here, right? And then you put the paper on, and then you use it with your die cutting machine. So you do have to have a die cutting machine in order to use the Better Press. But as I mentioned in the video, if you haven't watched it yet, I give you an alternative technique if you don't have the Better Press. And if you don't have Better Press plates, you can just use stamping, as I mentioned before. I hope that answers your question. So my go-to tool is always my stamp positioner. There's so many stamp positioners on the market. I actually have a few of them. So depending on what exactly I'm doing, I'll use a different stamp positioner. I have a large one if I'm making larger cards. I know the standard are the A2 size cards, but I sometimes make 5x7 cards, A7 size cards. So I need a bigger stamp positioner. I also sometimes decorate the insides of my cards, and the larger stamp positioner works better for that as well, especially if I want to stamp a sentiment on the inside. Um, the other ones that I like are the ones with the sticky mat on them. I find that that's perfect for when I really want to make sure that my image, if I double stamp it, I don't mess anything up. So I really like that for maybe sentiments and stuff. But yeah, I have a whole horde of stamp positioners, and they are all used particularly for different things that I stamp out. Artistically creative. I might have missed. Did you start out using the embossing image and filling in the images with watercolors? Okay, so for the first half of your question, yeah, I did. The better press, yeah, it is basically like an embossed image. It's a like an imprint of that plate onto the paper. And then I added the watercolors. I didn't do any no line watercoloring because I personally find that a little harder. You could try it if you wanted to, but remember with the plates, the better press plates, you're gonna get that indentation anyways. I guess that's actually a great idea to give a try if you use the plates with like a light ink and then tried the no line watercoloring. That would be fun actually. But I didn't do I didn't do that, but that's a great idea. So Melissa says, which die cutting machine can you use better press with? I have Big Shot. Okay, yeah, so you can use any die cutting machine with it as long as it's um at least I'm sorry, I'm one of those people who hates measuring. So I don't remember the size of this. I guess it should say. But basically the standard size die cutting machine would work. You have the Big Shot, that'll definitely work. I used the Big Shot Plus for my video. And since then, I've actually used Spellbinder's Platinum. Any of those die cutting machines will work as long as you can get this thing through it. That's all you really need. And if you're not going to use the Better Press system, then I'm pretty sure any die cutting machine should work. From Debbie, Deepa, what is a stamp conditioner? Oh, sorry, I probably I probably misspoke or something. Stamp positioner. So I mean like the stamp positioner you use, which has like a window, you open it up, you put your paper in, you put your stamp on one side, and then you put your ink on and stamp it, like close the sandwich and stamp it. So the stamp positioner. Um, I think a stamp conditioner is probably like something that you put on the stamp before you actually use it. I usually just use I just use embossing ink for that, or you can use a bit of like a soft eraser just to condition your stamps. But my preferred tool is the stamp positioner. Sorry about that. So, what technique is your least favorite? Um, I'm gonna be really honest with you. It varies. As I said, I kind of get bored with techniques and then switch up what I'm doing. Right now, as I said, I usually do a lot of die cutting. I kind of get bored of die cutting. I mentioned I'm also impatient. So sometimes I I think what it is with the die cutting, you have to pick out the different colors of cardstock and then cut each die out, especially if you have smaller dies. I find that very time consuming, takes me longer to get to my final product. So I usually end up just die cutting everything out of white and ink blending it just to add the color I want after. But yeah, I think die cutting has become very boring for me lately. But as I said, I go through bouts. I'll stick to stamping, watercoloring, better press, any other technique right now, and then eventually I'll go back to the die cutting. So Hannah says, can we see those beautiful flower cards you have behind? Of course. Actually, this is a video I have coming out soon on my YouTube channel, so I recommend checking it out. These were just released like yesterday. These are Yana's poppies. They are gorgeous from Spellbinders, and they make these gorgeous backgrounds. Now, this also is a better press plate. I've actually got it here. You can see I've used it pretty well already. It's gorgeous. And again, there's a stencil that comes with it, and it's just so pretty because you can do some soft ink blending. And that's probably where I'm at right now. I love the better press and ink blending on the cards that I made. Okay, sorry. So there's one of them. You can see I used some greens and reds, and I did really soft ink blending, and I think that gives it a gorgeous look. And then this one here, again, it's a soft ink blending effect and it looks gorgeous. Now, another thing that I find that's amazing for these is that if you look up color palettes ahead of time, your cards turn out amazing. And that's also in my freebie. I've got a few color palettes there that you can find, and you can actually use those for your cards. And I'm guaranteeing you once you find inks that match, your cards are going to turn out beautiful. So that's about it for my live. This went by really quickly, and I'm so glad to meet you all. I hope that you guys keep in touch, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I would love to talk to you guys there. Have fun at the rest of the summit, and I'll hopefully see you guys on the crafting circuit. Bye.